Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are taking a truly spectacular stack of sources, a comprehensive collection of seasonal culinary instructions, and trying to understand its underlying philosophy. This isn't just a list of recipes, it's more like a field guide to creating a high-impact, spectacularly themed Halloween spread. It's ambitious, structurally complex, and often just delightfully absurd.
It really is. It's less a cookbook and more a theatrical production blueprint. So our mission today is to analyze the breadth and depth of these instructions and really get into the specific techniques, the why and the how, that elevate them beyond just, standard autumnal baking.
Right.
We're extracting the key insights for achieving maximum spooky impact, looking at everything from precision sugar chemistry to pure unsettling theatricality built on deception.
My initial impression when I was looking at the outline for this deep dive was just the sheer commitment to the bit. We have 50 distinct entries, and they run the full gamut from the purely utilitarian, transforming canned breadsticks into a boneyard, to these complex structural feats, like meringue ghosts. There's this clear tension here between the pursuit of, culinary perfection and the pursuit of theatrical fright.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's unpack this enormous collection of spooky sustenance. We are diving in, starting with the savory items, which is where the deception often begins.
Exactly. When we look at the appetizers, the goal is not just flavor, but reshaping familiar elements into something.
Well, something unsettling. The breadstick boneyard is a fantastic study in ingredient economy paired with simple manipulation.
It really is. The core ingredient is just a 7-ounce can of refrigerated breadsticks. That's it.
It's so simple, but the instructions were incredibly detailed about how that dough needs to be worked to sell the visual. You can't just bake them as is.
No, they require some kinetic energy.
They do. The oven is set to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. You unroll the dough, you cut it into 6 strips. But the critical manipulative step is carefully stretching each strip.
To make it a full foot long, you need that elongation to achieve the slender shaft of a long bone. Then you loosely tie knots on each end.
And that's to simulate the knobby joints, right? The epiphyses of the bone structure.
That's the illusion. That slight thickening at the ends is just essential. And the flavor, rather than being sweet, is purely savory, seasoned for a pretty grim scene.
Right. So what's the coating?
It's 1 tablespoon of melted butter or margarine combined with 1 tablespoon of taco seasoning. That mixture is thoroughly brushed over the raw dough before you arrange them.
And then they bake for what, 13 to 15 minutes?
About 13 to 15 minutes until they're slightly browned. And when you present them correctly, maybe you dust them with a bit of dried parsley for moss. It's a savory seasoned platter of ancient remains.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Diving into savory treats shaped for fright, let's talk about the Halloween meatloaf mice.
Oh, this one is great.
This pushes the boundary of savory presentation using some really unexpected textures for visual effect.
It is an exercise in painstaking detail, specifically in the post-baking assembly. The meatloaf base itself is a lighter, leaner mix.
What's in it?
It's 6 ounces of ground turkey and 6 ounces of ground beef, and that's bound with 2/3 cup of uncooked oatmeal, 2 beaten egg whites, finely chopped onion, salt, pepper, and a 1/2 cup of tomato ketchup.
The oatmeal is key here, I'm guessing, for absorbing moisture and providing structure to these small forms.
That's it, exactly. And given that combination of turkey and oatmeal, the ketchup is doing double duty.
Right. It's a binder and a flavor agent, but is it also working to counteract what might otherwise be a very dry product?
It's doing both. It introduces acidity and moisture, which is vital because these are baked at a high heat, 350 degrees Fahrenheit, for 45 minutes, and they're in 4 small individual loaves.
And the source specifies the shaping, pointed front, rounded back.
Yes, and that high surface area to volume ratio means they cook really quickly and could definitely dry out without that added liquid and the binding power of the oatmeal and the egg whites.
So once they exit the oven, that's when the real transformation begins. Let's talk about that elaborate post-production assembly.
It's brilliant. The ears are 2 small carrot circles, likely attached with a toothpick or maybe just a small dab of sauce.
Okay.
The tails are the most involved component. Long, thin strips cut from the remaining carrot, which have to be steamed until they're tender and crisp before being attached.
Why steamed?
That ensures the tail has a natural, slightly pliable curve rather than just snapping off. It gives it life.
And the whiskers, This is the detail I find absolutely staggering in its commitment to culinary texture contrast.
Uncooked, broken spaghetti noodles.
No way.
Yes, they're tacked around the nose area. I mean, think about that textural difference. You have the soft, warm meatloaf body, the slightly chewy carrot tail, and then the stark, brittle snap of uncooked pasta for whiskers.
It's all a visual and textural trick.
Completely. And they are served in their habitat, a simulated gore pool.
What's that made of?
A teaspoon of heated, tomato-based pasta sauce is poured directly onto the plate, and the mouse is set right into it. This elevates a simple novelty item into a tiny, high-impact diorama.
Wow. Okay, moving from tiny, unsettling rodents to massive, imposing creatures, we arrive at the cheesy goblin head.
A classic.
This raises an important question. How elaborate can the construction and presentation for what is essentially a flavored cheese ball actually get? We are talking about a structural centerpiece here.
We are talking about 20 serving portions and a lengthy commitment to structural integrity. The recipe itself is a 4-part blend.
Let's hear it.
2 8-ounce packs of cream cheese, 8 ounces of taco-flavored shredded cheese, a 1/4 cup of butter, and 2 tablespoons of milk. But the initial steps are crucial for the structure.
This is where the engineering comes in.
Totally. Softening at room temperature for 30 minutes, blending until combined, and then, critically, covering and chilling for a minimum of 4 hours and optimally up to 24 hours.
Why the extended chill time? That can't just be for flavor melding.
It's entirely structural. You are creating a sculptable mass that needs to hold its shape under its own weight, especially when you start adding heavy decorative elements like peppers and olives.
Ah, so the long chill ensures the butter and fats in the cream cheese solidify completely.
Right. It allows you to sculpt the goblin head on the serving plate without it slumping.
And the decoration is applied using the rest of the softened cream cheese, which is spread over the hardened head. The facial features are where the true commitment to detail really shines.
Oh yeah, look at the precision here. Tortilla chips are attached as ears, providing a contrasting crunch and shape. A pickled pepper is secured with a toothpick for the nose.
Okay.
And here's the detail that tells you how specific this source is. Pimiento stuffed olives are designated for the eyes, while the red pepper stuffed olives are reserved for the toes.
Wait, different olives for eyes and toes?
Different olives. The difference in the red coloration. One is a slightly brighter pimiento, the other is darker. It adds subtle visual depth.
That is dedication to differentiating minor anatomy. What about the hair and eyebrows?
The hair is shredded beets, which provides a wonderfully unruly, dark, and slightly gory texture. The eyebrows are zigzag-cut sweet green pepper, and then carrot pieces are used for the teeth. It's an edible sculpture.
Served on a platter surrounded by assorted crackers, the goblin head is the perfect demonstration that in Halloween hosting, the structural engineering of your food is just as important as the flavor.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving to some simpler, quicker savory bites, we have 2 quick muffin concepts, the Halloween cheese muffins and the Halloween party pizza muffin.
Both rely on shortcuts, right? Using pre-made dough.
Yeah.
The cheese muffin is purely presentation-driven.
How so?
English muffins are coated with oil, topped with tomato-based sauce, and then sliced cheese is cut using Halloween-figured cookie cutters, a bat, a ghost, a pumpkin.
Ah, clever.
They bake for only 10 minutes at 350. It's a 5-minute assembly, 10-minute cook time, relying entirely on the silhouette of the cheese to convey the theme.
The party pizza muffin, though, sounds like it maximizes the utility of refrigerated biscuit dough.
It's very clever. You place refrigerated biscuits directly into muffin pan holes, and they form a little cup-shaped crust.
And then you fill it.
With a savory blend of tomato sauce, oregano, onion salt, and pre-cooked ground meat. Topped with shredded mozzarella or cheddar, it bakes for 10 to 15 minutes. It's a brilliant shortcut.
For creating individual contained portions without making homemade dough.
Exactly.
Finally, in the savory snack section, we have the Chex and Chocolate Party mix, or the Goblin mix variation. Before we leave this sphere, let's discuss the methodology for creating that signature sticky coating in these baked mixes.
Right. The Chex and Chocolate Party mix coating is a high-heat stovetop operation. It combines brown sugar, corn syrup, and butter,
Okay.
which is boiled for 5 minutes without stirring.
Without stirring.
Right.
Why is that step so important?
It allows the temperature to rise uniformly and ensures the sugar reaches a soft ball stage concentration without crystallizing. After boiling, you stir in vanilla and baking soda.
And that baking soda step, that's the moment of controlled chemistry, isn't it?
It is. Adding baking soda to an acidic hot syrup causes it to immediately foam and expand. This aeration creates a lighter, crispier, and more expansive coating that can better adhere to the Chex and peanuts.
So the final baked mix has a brittle yet not rock-hard texture.
Precisely. The mix is then baked at a low 250 degrees for an hour to dehydrate and set the coating, and you only add the chocolate chips and raisins once it cools to prevent melting.
So the Goblin mix utilizes that same aeration technique, but applied to pretzels and mini crackers. These recipes truly showcase the foundational party snacks that bridge the gap between savory appetizers and highly sugary treats.
It's the essential base layer for successful party snacks that rely on a low-temperature, slow-bake process to achieve maximum crunch and adhesion.
Fantastic. That takes us through the engineering of savory fright. We're transitioning now into section 2, where things get significantly more technical, more dangerous, and more rewarding if you succeed.
I love this section.
We are talking about pure sugar chemistry, caramel creations, and candied fruit.
This section is a study in precision. We are dealing with techniques that require meticulous attention to temperature, where a 5-degree difference can mean the difference between a glossy snap and a sticky mess, or worse, a burnt disaster.
Let's start with the classic high-precision approach. Candy apples, or the hard crack method. This is where the host needs to be part confectioner, part firefighter.
This is the highest level of difficulty provided in this collection. The ingredients, sugar, boiling water, cinnamon red hots, lemon juice, red food color, they're simple, but they're combined and cooked over moderate heat until the temperature reaches 300 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, for our listener who might not be a confectioner, 300 degrees F is the definition of the hard crack stage. Why is that specific temperature so critical?
It's the point at which the sugar syrup contains only about 1% moisture. I mean, at 250 degrees, you're in the softball stage, pliable, slightly chewy. At 300, virtually all the water has evaporated.
So the sugar molecules are so tightly concentrated that when cooled, the structure is brittle, glassy, and shatters.
That's the signature snap of a candy apple.
And the source provides a serious warning about this process.
Yes, it emphasizes washing the candy closely past 280 degrees because the temperature ascent accelerates rapidly and you risk immediate burning. You have about a 12-minute window to reach the target temperature, and if you overshoot and scorch the sugar, the entire batch is ruined.
It's a high-stress, low-margin technique.
Very.
That sounds intense. So for the host looking for an easier, lower-stress method, the source provides an excellent alternative, the crock-pot caramel apples.
This is the slow forgiving method. It substitutes the high-precision sugar cook for pre-made caramel packages, 2 14-ounce packs combined with just a quarter cup of water.
And you just let it go in the crock-pot.
It cooks covered for 1 to 1.5 hours on high, stirring frequently, and then you just drop it to low heat for dipping.
The crock-pot essentially solves the problem of keeping the caramel at a perfectly warm, dippable consistency throughout a long party.
It is the ultimate convenience method. Once dipped, the apples cool on greased wax paper, and then the decorations are flexible. You can roll them into nuts, M&Ms, mini chocolate chips, whatever you want.
So it trades the glossy, hard crack shell for a softer, chewier, creamier caramel texture with zero risk of burning.
Exactly.
Now, we move to the most complex option, the double-dipped caramel apples. What's fascinating here is the architectural complexity of the 2 distinct layered coatings.
This requires patience, planning, and multiple steps of chilling and melting. You are layering caramel and chocolate. The first layer is a standard microwave caramel melt.
1 pack plus water for the foundation.
Right. And the chilling is non-negotiable here.
Absolutely essential. You dip the apple, shake off the excess, and immediately refrigerate for a critical 1 to 2 hours. If that first layer isn't fully set, the second layer will just drag and peel, ruining the clean structure.
And the second layer uses the remaining caramel pack, melted similarly.
And the finish options are highly varied, showcasing the flexibility of this technique.
There are 3 paths from here. One is the simple warm roll, dip, and immediately roll into pounded nuts, finished with chocolate drizzles.
Okay, simple enough.
Another is the textural layering. Warm caramel, rolled over pounded graham crackers and mini marshmallows, and topped again with melted chocolate.
So you get 3 distinct textures: soft caramel, crunchy graham, soft marshmallow, crisp chocolate.
Yep. And finally, the option that leverages the complexity of cold layering, the thick chocolate shell.
This one sounds like it requires the most time.
It does. After the caramel base is chilled, you submerge a portion of the apple into softened semi-sweet chocolate many times. You have to allow each coat to harden before dipping again.
So you're building up a thick, durable, opaque chocolate shell.
which is then finished with pounded almonds and sprinkles. It's significantly more work, but the result is a beautifully sculpted, multi-layered confection.
This precise work continues into the candy apple pie, which takes that aggressive cinnamon candy flavor and integrates it into a complex, unbaked dessert.
The unique element is cooking the flavor directly into the filling. The ingredients are 5 Granny Smith apples, sliced thinly, and 20 cinnamon red-hot candies.
And a cooking liquid.
1 3/4 cups of unsweetened apple juice, along with red food color and vanilla. That red food color is essential for achieving the intense, almost artificial red hue that matches the cinnamon flavor.
Right.
You simmer the apples and candies in most of the juice until the apples soften and the candies dissolve, thoroughly infusing that cinnamon flavor. The thickening agent is 3 tablespoons of cornstarch mixed with the remaining 1/4 cup of apple juice.
The cornstarch slurry.
Adding that slurry and cooking until it thickens turns the mixture into a glossy, stable filling.
So once thickened, it cools, gets poured into a pre-baked pie crust, and is refrigerated.
It's an elegant refrigerated pie, not a baked one, which allows that aggressive cinnamon candy flavor and the vibrant red color to remain the dominant features rather than baking out.
And you serve it chilled, maybe dusted with cinnamon and topped with whipped cream. That wraps up the highly technical sugar sphere, showcasing the spectrum from near-boiling precision to slow-cookable convenience. Let's move to section 3, ghoulish baked goods and cookie designs. Let's focus particularly on meringue and structural dough work.
Okay. We have 2 recipes involving meringue, and they demonstrate 2 dramatically different technical approaches to achieving the same culinary result. A perfectly dry, crisp structure. This is all about moisture control.
Let's compare graveyard bones and ghostly meringue cookies. They rely on the same chemical foundation, stiffly beaten egg whites, but handle the baking process entirely differently.
The graveyard bones follow the traditional gentle dehydration method. You create the meringue using egg whites, sugar, vanilla, salt, and crucially, cream of tartar.
Why is cream of tartar so critical to this process?
Cream of tartar, it's an acidic salt, and it acts as a stabilizer. When you're whipping egg whites, it helps achieve maximum volume and prevents that fragile protein structure from collapsing, especially when sugar is added.
So it's what ensures you have a truly stiff, stable peak that won't weep or deflate during piping and the long drying process.
Correct. The mixture is piped into 3-inch bone figures. The oven is preheated to a very low 200 degrees Fahrenheit. They bake for exactly 1 hour until set.
And the specific instruction to allow the bones to dry inside the oven after baking.
That is the ultimate commitment to moisture eradication. The gentle low heat sets the protein structure, and then the prolonged cooling inside the insulating environment of the oven ensures any residual moisture slowly evaporates. This yields 48 to 60 small, crisp bone figures.
The ghostly meringue cookies, however, use the heat shock method, which seems so counterintuitive.
It is the extreme drying process. You preheat the oven to an extremely high 475 degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
The meringue incorporates orange gelatin mix, nuts, and chocolate chips. The orange gelatin adding both color and flavor, which is unique. You scoop the batter onto prepared sheets, place the sheets in the oven, and immediately turn the oven off.
So the idea is that the rapid, initial high heat creates a hardened shell instantly, sealing the structure.
And the subsequent 8 hours of cooling acts as a controlled dehydration chamber.
Exactly. The high initial heat sets the surface quickly, preventing the structure from spreading or weeping. Then the cookies have to stay inside the turned-off oven for at least 8 hours to completely dry and crisp up, utilizing that trapped heat to slowly pull out all the moisture.
It's an indirect cooking method, relying entirely on insulation and time.
Moving to more advanced dough work, the Hoot Owl cookies are a masterclass in edible cross-section design. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is not about cutting out a shape. It's about building a design that only becomes visible after it's sliced.
This is truly advanced dough layering. It requires discipline and temperature management. You start with the main dough butter, brown sugar, egg, vanilla, flour, etc. 2/3 is reserved as the plain dough.
And the other third.
The remaining third is mixed with cocoa, baking soda, and water to create the contrasting chocolate dough.
The structural key here is rolling and wrapping before you freeze it.
Precisely. You roll the plain dough into 2 10-inch by 4-inch rectangles. The chocolate dough is rolled into 2 10-inch long rolls. You then wrap each rectangular piece of plain dough completely around a chocolate roll.
And these rep cylinders are then frozen solid.
Freezing makes the dough firm enough to slice cleanly, which reveals that pinwheel structure.
And when sliced, the cross-section is the owl's primary body shape.
Right. You place 2 slices side by side on the baking sheet, ensuring the edges touch, and lightly pinch the top corners to form the owl's ears. The decoration, a peanut butter or butterscotch chip for the eyes and a cashew for the beak, is placed before baking.
That commitment to structural design before the heat hits the dough is why they hold their shape so well.
It is.
Now contrast that complexity with the absolute simplicity of the ghost cookie.
The ghost cookie uses brilliant shortcuts. Instead of making dough and cutting a complex shape, they use a pre-made, butter-flavored cookie, specifically noting the Nutter brand for the base.
So it's a study in efficiency.
Totally. The ghostly coating is achieved with vanilla-flavored almond bark, melted and dipped to cover 2/3 of the cookie. The cookie brand provides the flavor and structure, and the almond bark provides the smooth, white edible canvas.
And the almond bark sets quickly, I assume.
Very quickly. And the decoration is simple. Half-cut small black jelly beans are pressed on for the eyes. It's an effective assembly line treat, sacrificing complexity for volume and speed.
Then we have the ghostly ghoulish cookies, which return to the precision of pattern creation.
This is a classic sugar cookie dough, chilled, and then the uniqueness lies in the ultra-thin rolling 1/8 of an inch thick and the creation of a ghost-shaped pattern from craft or art paper.
So you're cutting the chilled dough directly, using the pattern as a guide.
Exactly. The thinness ensures a delicate, crisp texture after a very short bake time, like 6 to 8 minutes at 325.
And the spider cookies, another classic, but with a specific structural assembly method relying on confectionery deception.
The Halloween spider cookies start by separating Oreos. Red licorice ropes are laid over the frosting, leaving about 2 inches dangling out to simulate 8 legs.
You close the cookie, and that holds them in place.
It does, and the final touch is the eyes. A small dab of frosting topped with Red Hots or chocolate chips. It's a very satisfying geometric transformation.
Closing out this section, we touch on the themed bars and treats. The candy corn Rice Krispie treats focus entirely on color mixing and binding.
The color is crucial for the orange hue. After melting the marshmallows in butter, you carefully blend 2 drops of yellow food coloring and 1 drop of red food coloring to achieve that standard warm orange.
And this is poured over the cereal, 2 cups of mixed candy corn, and mini chocolate chips.
And the technique relies on speed. You have to press the mixture into the pan quickly while it's still hot, and then immediately insert the candy pumpkins while the bars are warm enough to seal around them.
That sealing step is critical. If you wait too long, the bar sets and the pumpkins will just pop out.
The structural integrity relies on inserting those decorative elements while the marshmallow is still pliable.
And the double delicious Halloween bars and the regular Halloween bars are functionally the same, right? They utilize condensed milk as the ultimate binder.
They're almost identical. Butter, condensed milk, graham cracker crumbs, and mixed chips, peanut butter, and milk chocolate. Condensed milk, when baked, becomes a dense, sticky, and stable matrix.
You layer it.
You melt the margarine in the pan and then layer the crumbs, milk, and chips, which ensures that the entire bar bakes into one solid, rich, layered structure after 25 minutes at 350. It's an easy, high-impact recipe that relies on the intense binding power of the sweetened condensed milk.
We've covered appetizers and baked treats. Now we enter the realm of performance art and structural engineering. Section 4, cakes and extreme presentation desserts.
My favorite part.
These are the centerline pieces designed for maximum shock and fun.
These are the macabre masterpieces. They require time, planning, and a complete willingness to commit to the bit. Let's start with the dirt cake with worms.
This one is all about texture creating a convincing, edible soil.
Absolutely. The soil is 16 ounces of finely pounded Oreos. The filling is complex, blending butter, cream cheese, vanilla, icing sugar, chocolate fudge instant pudding, milk, and whipped topping.
So you're essentially creating a triple textured filling.
Right. You've got the fluffy cream cheese base, the stable pudding structure, and the airy whipped topping, all carefully folded together. And the layering structure is the key to selling the illusion of depth.
It requires precise layering in a rectangular pan, followed by significant chilling.
A lot of chilling. You start with 1/3 of the crushed Oreos pressed into the bottom. This is followed by half of the pudding mixture, another third of the crumbs, the remaining pudding, and topped with the final fine layer of crumbs.
And the whole thing needs 10 to 12 hours of chilling. Why such a long time?
Because instant pudding relies on time and cold temperatures to fully gel and set up the structure. Without that long chill, the layers will just bleed and lose their definition. This needs to be firm enough to stand up to the final decoration.
Which includes fake flowers and a small trowel plunged into the soil, plus 3 strategically placed gummy worms.
Exactly.
Okay, now we confront the truly legendary recipe, the kitty litter cake.
Here we go.
I have to stop you there. This entire premise relies on guests suspending their disbelief and overcoming the immense disgust factor. Does the collection offer any advice on how to convince people to eat something served out of a brand new litter box?
The recipe itself acts as the advice. The sheer commitment to realism is the convincer. The presentation relies on brand new, never used paraphernalia, a new kitty litter box, a new liner, and a new pooper scooper.
The ingredients are designed to mimic the visuals exactly.
Precisely. German or spiced chocolate cake mix, white cake mix, vanilla instant pudding mix, and crucially, white sandwich cookies.
Okay, walk us through the deliberate transformation into used kitty litter. This is where the commitment to detail becomes performance art.
The cooled cakes are crumbled, and the vanilla instant pudding is prepared and chilled. The litter is the white sandwich cookies, crumbled finely in a blender. And a quarter cup of these cookie crumbs is set aside and mixed with green food coloring.
That green coloring that's simulating the chlorophyll or odor-absorbing crystals in commercial litter, that is incredible attention to detail.
It is. The bulk of the mixture, the crumbled cakes, remaining white crumbs, and the moist pudding, is combined and placed into the new liner inside the litter box. That's the bulk of the litter.
And then the simulated deposits, the Tootsie Rolls.
12 small Tootsie Rolls are the key. They are microwaved until pliable and soft. They are then curved and shaped to look like deposits and strategically buried inside the cake mixture.
Oh, wow.
And more are partially melted to look even more realistic and placed on top.
Wait, they instruct you to leave a pliable Tootsie Roll hanging on the side.
Yes. One pliable Tootsie Roll is specifically mentioned as being hung on the side of the box. This is the high-impact final detail.
Unbelievable.
The finishing touch is scattering the green-colored crumbs across the top and, to sell the realism completely, laying some newspapers underneath the litter box and scattering a few cake crumbs on them to simulate spillover. The whole thing is served with the brand new scooper.
It is a stunning display of culinary black humor.
It really is.
Okay, from fake waste to fake graves, the graveyard dessert is next, relying on precise structural layering that must set perfectly.
This involves both a baked crust and multiple chilled filling layers. The crust is simple. Crumbled chocolate wafer cookies, melted margarine, and sugar, packed into the pan and baked for 10 minutes.
That sets the foundation.
And the filling involves 2 layers that must adhere without mixing. The first is a blend of cream cheese and Cool Whip. The second layer is orange-flavored gelatin.
How do you get that to set without mixing?
You dissolve the gelatin in boiling water and then immediately add cold water combined with cubed ice.
That ice method is a rapid chill technique. Why use it here?
It speeds up the thickening process dramatically. The ice cubes cool the gelatin below the setting point quickly, making it thicken rapidly without needing a long refrigeration time. Once the ice is removed, the thickened gelatin is poured directly over the chilled cream cheese layer and refrigerated for 3 hours until completely firm.
This allows the final Cool Whip and crumbled cookie dirt layers to be added without disturbing the structure. And the tombstones.
Oval and rectangular fill cookies are poked into the end, decorated with different colored icing, and candy pumpkins and corn are scattered across the surface. It's a layered architectural feat.
It really is. Let's move to the pumpkin showcase, starting with the Halloween pumpkin cake, an architectural feat using bundt pans.
The construction is ingenious. You stack 2 bundt cakes, which naturally have a ridged, squat shape, one flat side down and the other flat side down on top of the first.
Which creates a near-perfect rounded pumpkin silhouette.
It does. And the frosting is what turns the cake into the character.
Awesome.
You use 2 medium cans of white frosting. Half a cup is reserved and colored black for the facial features. The rest is colored orange. The entire stacked cake is covered in the orange frosting. And the source suggests making vertical strokes in the frosting to simulate the pumpkin's natural ribs and texture.
And the final flourish, the stem.
A Hostess Ho-Ho roll is inserted right into the center opening of the stacked cakes to act as the stem. The black frosting is then used for the eyes, nose, and mouth, a quick way to create a large-scale, impressive centerpiece.
We also have the frozen jack-o'-lanterns, a neat way to turn oranges into chilled, single-serving ice cream treats.
This is a great demonstration of using nature's container. You take a dozen whole oranges, Remove the tops and pulp, and then carefully carve faces into the empty shells.
And then fill them with half a gallon of dark-colored chocolate ice cream.
Right. The challenge here must be ensuring the ice cream doesn't ooze out of the carved holes before it sets.
Which is why they specified dark-colored chocolate ice cream, which tends to be denser.
Exactly. A small hole is bored on the top, a cinnamon stick is inserted as the stem, and they are frozen for a minimum of 3 hours. It's functional, fun, and visually striking.
Shifting to specialty cakes, the Halloween ginger spice cake sounds like a sophisticated autumn flavor bomb. Given the long list of spices, cloves, ginger, nutmeg, allspice, cinnamon, mace, this is clearly a flavor-focused, non-theatrical option.
It is intensely complex, relying on rich, deep flavors. The liquid base is essential. 2 cups of dark molasses, a quarter cup of strong brewed coffee, 2 large eggs, and 2 cups of sour cream.
Let's focus on the sour cream. Why is that component so vital to a cake of this type?
Sour cream adds fat, which contributes to moisture and richness, but the acidity in the sour cream activates the baking soda within the flour mixture, contributing leavening. This combination of acid and fat ensures the cake remains incredibly moist, dense, and tender.
Which is necessary to balance that aggressive spice profile.
It is, but the unique technique here involves the sliced Granny Smith apples placed before the batter.
How does that work?
4 tarts of thinly sliced Granny Smith apples are arranged in the bottom of the pan, slightly overlapping, and dusted with a half cup of dark brown sugar. The batter is poured over this layer. The apples and sugar caramelize against the bottom of the pan during baking.
And the instruction post-bake is critical for the presentation, slicing the cake before turning the pan over.
This prevents damage to the delicate apple topping. Once turned, the caramelized apple layer is exposed on top, creating a beautiful, elegant presentation.
Finally, in the cake section, we have a note on a strictly adult treat, the haunted souse cake. This is the ultimate melding of baking and boozy indulgence.
This uses a standard box mix: orange supreme, vanilla pudding, eggs, oil, orange juice. But the potency comes from the liquids added.
A lot of liquids.
The recipe is fortified with a quarter cup of Galliano liqueur and 3/4 cup of vodka. That's a full cup of liquor added to the batter.
Wow. Beyond the flavor infusion, what is the impact of that much alcohol on the final cake structure?
Alcohol inhibits gluten formation. A mixture like this will result in a cake that is incredibly moist, dense, and heavy, because the flour cannot develop a strong, elastic framework.
And alcohol has a lower evaporation point than water, which helps keep the cake moist for longer.
Right. It bakes for 50 minutes, and the orange cream cheese frosting finishes the jack-o'-lantern theme. It absolutely lives up to the "for adults only" label.
Okay, moving on to section 5, beverages and festive punches. We see a mix here of simple combinations and those that rely on a visual flair.
We have 2 quick mix options that rely on commercial juice blends.
Yeah.
Halloween Punch version 1 is focused on a base of apple cider and ginger ale, balanced by orange and pineapple drinks.
So it's tart, crisp, and slightly effervescent.
And Halloween Punch version 2 leans much more heavily on the orange and sherbet flavors, creating a creamier base.
Yeah, it combines Hi-C orange juice and pineapple drink with a half gallon of orange sherbet topped with 7-Up or ginger ale.
So the sherbet serves 2 roles. It provides intense color, and as it melts, it gives the punch a thick, foamy, creamy texture, making it much more dessert-like than version 1.
Next, the themed brews, starting with Kool-Aid, which uses the high-impact color of Kool-Aid.
This mixes grape and orange, unsweetened Kool-Aid envelopes with 2 cups of sugar and water. The key is to add the chilled ginger ale right before serving to provide a last-minute fizz and keep the flavor bright.
And it achieves a deep, slightly muddy purple-red color, perfect for a spooky concoction.
Yep. But the most visually evocative one, relying on the lowest number of ingredients, is the Green Swamp Brew.
This is pure, low-effort visual genius.
It's simply 2 liters of chilled ginger ale combined with half a gallon of melted lime sherbet. The sherbet is allowed to melt for 60 minutes to soften into a viscous green liquid before the ginger ale is poured in.
The genius here is the service suggestion, using a clean pumpkin as the beverage dispenser.
Exactly. The pumpkin, carved out and likely chilled, acts as a grotesque dispenser, completing the swamp visual. The drink itself is an intensely green, fizzy, creamy concoction that screams artificiality in the best possible Halloween way.
Finally, the section includes a hot beverage, ghostly hot chocolate. This moves away from the sweet mixes and incorporates a subtle citrus flavor.
The ingredients are whole milk, vanilla-flavored baking pieces, nutmeg, and the rind of 1 medium orange. The unique step is mixing the candy coating, nutmeg, and the entire orange rind in a saucepan over low heat, whisking until the coating melts.
The purpose of the orange rind being present during the melting phase is flavor infusion, right?
It allows the essential oils from the orange rind to infuse directly into the hot fat of the melted vanilla coating. It imparts a subtle, complex citrus note that balances the sweetness and richness of the vanilla and whole milk.
Then the rind is removed before the remaining milk is whisked in, and it's served with whipped cream and ghost-shaped marshmallows.
It's a sophisticated twist on a simple drink.
We're moving now to our final section, Section 6. Quick tricks and final edible decorations. These are the high-impact items that require minimal effort but deliver maximum visual or flavor reward.
Starting with dips, we have the caramel rum fruit dip. This is designed to be quick and flavorful, utilizing a specific flavoring agent for impact.
It calls for rum extract. Why use extract here rather than actual rum?
Rum extract provides a high-impact rum flavor without adding significant liquid volume or introducing alcohol content, so it's safe for all ages. It's a high-concentration flavor shortcut.
Okay.
1 teaspoon of rum extract is mixed vigorously with the melted caramels, butter, milk, and chopped pecans, creating a rich, ready-to-serve dip in minutes.
Then we have the simple, classic, chocolate-coated fruit treat, Ghostly Pops.
A perfect 3-step treat.
Right.
Ripe bananas are cut crosswise, placed on sticks, and frozen for 3 hours. The freezing is mandatory. If the banana is soft, the warm chocolate will cause it to melt and slow off.
Right. Once frozen, they are coated in melted white chocolate.
And the final assembly relies on quick action before the chocolate sets. Mini chocolate chips are immediately pressed onto the white coating to form the eyes and mouth before being returned to the freezer.
It's a brilliant contrast. Cold, firm fruit, crisp white chocolate, and the melting sensation of the chips.
Exactly.
Let's talk cookies again, specifically the jack-o'-lantern cookies, which feature a truly innovative glazing technique using crushed candy.
This is one of the most technical cookies in the collection. You start with a standard cookie dough, colored orange, with green ghost stems added. The key technique is the carving step, using a knife to cut out the mouth, nose, and eyes.
And these openings are filled with crushed lemon drops before baking.
Right. That crushed candy melts during the 8 to 10 minutes of baking at 350, creating a stained glass window effect in the pumpkin face.
It achieves a beautiful translucent effect. The lemon drops, having a very high sugar concentration, melt into a glassy sheet that cools and hardens back into a brittle, colored window.
And the instructions caution to bake until done but not brown, emphasizing that the cookie itself must remain pale to ensure the candy retains its bright color.
We've saved the simplest, most approachable dirt dessert for last. The gummy worm cake.
This is pure illusion built on simplicity. Use a chocolate cake mix and chocolate frosting. The entire cake is frosted, and the soil is achieved by pounding half a pack of Oreos finely until they look like fine garden soil.
And this fine, even powder is sprinkled over the entire frosted surface.
The difference between this and the dirt cake is that here, the soil is strictly decorative, whereas in the dirt cake, the Oreo layer is structural.
Exactly. This is an immediate, high-impact illusion.
2 packs of gummy worms are placed on top, and the key finishing detail is placing some of the worms on the side of the cake, making it look as though they are actively crawling out of the edible soil.
Finally, the Halloween eyeball potion is another chilling dessert that requires precise layering and freezing to achieve the visual goal of floating eyes.
This is built in individual dishes. You start by setting the eyeball. 2 scoops of vanilla ice cream are placed on top of red-colored gelatin strawberry or cherry, and a raisin or blueberry is placed on the ice cream for the pupil.
And these entire eyeballs are frozen for 30 minutes to set the structure.
And the potion element requires specific timing with the remaining gelatin. You prepare the gelatin according to package instructions, but crucially, you pour a 1/4 cup of chilled, unfirmed gelatin around the base of the eyeballs.
So the liquid gelatin sets around the base, leaving the top portion of the ice cream exposed.
Right. The dish is then frozen until ready to be served, creating the unnerving visual of an eye floating in a gelatinous red pool. The structural timing of freezing the ice cream solid first is what prevents the gelatin from melting the eye.
We have dissected 50 recipes, moving from the most demanding sugar chemistry to the simplest, most effective visual tricks.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we can synthesize the 3 major culinary imperatives explored in this collection. First, the absolute necessity of highly technical sugar work, like achieving the 300-degree hard crack stage for candy apples. Success there is based on chemical perfection.
Right.
Second, the reliance on multi-layered construction, exemplified by the dirt cake or the graveyard dessert, where structural integrity requires chilling for hours or even days.
And third, the theatricality of the gross-out foods, such as the kitty litter cake and the meatloaf mice, where the goal is visual deception and playful shock rather than subtle flavor profiles.
The defining theme of this entire collection is the commitment to deceiving the eye. Successful Halloween hosting, according to these sources, relies as much on visual creativity and architectural stability as it does on flavor.
The ability to make a simple cheese ball look like a goblin or a hostess roll look like a pumpkin stem is the defining skill. This collection provides a deep toolbox. Whether you are aiming for elegant autumnal flavors like the complex, spice-heavy ginger spice cake, or leaning into pure spectacle. The attention to detail, down to the choice of olive for a cheesy goblin's eyes, or the specific use of uncooked spaghetti for whiskers is truly impressive.
It forces a philosophical dilemma for the host.
So what does this all mean for your own hosting strategy? The choice between elegant flavor and visual shock forces that philosophical dilemma. Does success lie in the chemical perfection of the 300-degree hard crack caramel, or in the low-cost, high-impact deception of the uncooked spaghetti whisker?
Which detailed preparation step stands out to you as the most essential for culinary fright? The 8 hours of patient drying required for the meringue ghosts, or the 1 minute it takes to position an uncooked spaghetti noodle as a convincing meatloaf whisker? That is what you need to consider when planning your next perfectly frightening feast.
We'll catch you next time for the deep dive.